The Giza, big Egyptian Sphinx cover-up. Hidden chambers, unexcavated mounds, and endless denial. This is a 1920 aerial image of the Sphinx. You see how much sand was covering it? You see the head is a different material than the body, as you can see here. And you'll see also images of drawings from 1665 of the Giza plateau with a lot more pyramids. One of them has been disbanded in order to be used for construction in the city. And a second mound having a supposed second Sphinx buried underneath. This was recently found. Zahi Hawass is going down into a tunnel in a chamber containing a granite tomb in immersed in a lake of water. And they say that that could be having a DNA lock. And it's so very ancient that, of course, that DNA is not around anymore. So this is a Sphinx cover-up. The second Sphinx should be there. In 1935, Egypt was still the main draw for archaeologists digging for answers. As we know, the Sphinx was mostly covered with sand up to its neck, and it was hardly more than a decade since the British Egyptologist Howard Carter discovered the tomb of Tutankhamun on November 4th, 1922, that had lain nearly undisturbed for over 3,000 years. Yet that is another amazing story still to be investigated. But right now, our attention is focused on the latest attempt to hide the real ancient history of the unknown civilization that left us with great wonders, both above and below the sands of the Giza plateau. Ancient lost city underneath Egypt. The first news of the secret city hit the world press in the first week of March 1935. Secret city under Egypt. By July of that year, much more had been found, and the Sunday Express ran the article by Edward Armitage, who had just returned from England from Egypt, where he had watched the excavations of an ancient Egyptian city that was then thought to date back 4,000 years. The media, though, was silent about this. The article said, "City of the world's first queen, the mystery of the pyramids may be solved by new excavations." That was an article published July 7, 1935. Media silence, and then came the silence as if every living Egyptologist had lost all interest in this wonderful underground metropolis. Now we know that even Saqqara has underground cities underneath the plateaus of pyramids in Saqqara. They've also found 25 granite boxes, empty granite boxes, and they believe that those were about 100 tons each. The lid alone was 30 tons. They believe that they were used for fermenting batteries in order to light up the empty boxes, the granite boxes, 25 of them found in the Saqqara area, and also the pyramid where the granite box was encased. And it was supposedly emitting a beautiful blue light that was lighting up the granite box and the pyramid that it was contained in, and giving free energy to the area. So, underground cities, thousands of rooms, and this was also told to us by Thoth, who wrote the Emerald Tablets, that they were underground cities underneath the pyramid plateaus. Now, articles during the years were cantered on tombs of queens and shafts that had sunk deep into the ground, to burial tombs sometime during the 24th dynasty, which was as late as 732 BC to 716 BC. It's very odd that such an immense discovery of a whole underground city dating back at least 4,000 years was ignored completely in favor of late period dynasty that almost passed without notice. Why would they ignore the more ancient aspects of what they found? So denial of previous discoveries, that was some 80 years ago, and today we have come up against a similar rose granite block wall, quote unquote, in the person of the former Minister of State of Antiquities Affairs, Zahi Hawass, who held that position until Egypt's revolution in 2011 that toppled Hosni Mubarak, and also ended Hawass's controversial reign as the supreme chief of all Egypt's antiquities. But he still has his finger in the pie, so to speak. Much has been written about the Egyptian Indiana Jones, quote unquote, who presents a big smile at one moment, but a red rage face the next when any unwelcome question is posed to him. This side of his character is well documented in Robert Bouval's Ahmed Osman's book, Breaking the Mirror of Heaven. However, such a temperament does not duly explain why Zahi Hawass has so publicly announced that there is nothing at all below the Sphinx, neither any tunnel nor a single chamber, when there have many photos of him entering descending shafts from the head of the Sphinx and another at the far rear of the lion body of the Sphinx. Are we supposed to forget completely what we have seen several times in the past and accept such denials without question? Let's remember in the Emerald Tablets, written by Thoth the Atlantean, Hermes Trismegistus, some call him, that he states in there very clearly, and I keep saying that because it was made such an impression on me, that he had a spaceship with which he was traveling the solar system, and his spaceship is buried under a sphinx in a plateau of pyramids. Okay, he had a spaceship, and the spaceship of Thoth is buried under a sphinx in a plateau of pyramids. We don't know if that's Giza or Saqqara or somewhere else. So, Zahi Hawass says, no, the body is, no, there's nothing under it, but there's pictures of him going into holes that are on top of the lion body of the Sphinx and on the side, etc. Now, statements contradict photographic evidence. Apparently, he brushed off such inquiries of hidden tunnels under the Giza pyramid and chambers under the Sphinx by saying that it wasn't possible to look deeper, as the chambers were either blocked or full of water. That may well be the case, though we can see from one of the photos showing a rear downward shaft from the side of the Sphinx that the floor far below is quite dry. We do know that Hawass has climbed down ladders from the rear entrance of the Sphinx into a deep chamber on a middle layer, and then even further down to the bottom chamber, which apparently contained a very large sarcophagus that was filled with water, as these scenes are all in a documentary filmed by Fox. It's hard to imagine how he could possibly think that he could later deny all that he had earlier accomplished. And we see him descending down a shaft towards a chamber filled with water that contained a large sarcophagus. This is from a Fox screenshot. Now, a hole in the Sphinx's head. Around 1798, Vivant Denon etched an image of the Sphinx, although he hadn't copied it that well, but we do note, we have no doubt that there's a hole on the top of the head, as he had drawn an image of a man being pulled out of the head. And we notice that the Sphinx still had sand around the neck. Now, a sketch can hardly be used as proof, but in the 1920s, an aerial photo of the Sphinx taken from atop a hot air balloon shows that there is such an opening on the top of its head. There's a little hole right in the center of the head. The enigma of the Sphinx's head. It seems quite clear from the totally different construction materials and color of the Sphinx's head, which we believe is not rock, but some type of a man-made substance compared to its limestone eroded body, that the head of the Sphinx and face of the Sphinx must have been changed from its original shape long after the monument was first carved. There's hardly any erosion to the head compared to the body. The sides of the headdress are quite smooth, and we only need glance at the mythical creature to spot the lighter color of the body compared to the darkness of the head. According to Tony Bushby in his The Secret in the Bible, a badly fragmented Sumerian cylinder tells a tale that could easily be taken as having happened at Giza and involving a beast that had a lion head with a tunnel entrance hidden by sand. Everything now points to the Sphinx body having been sculpted out of natural stone when there was frequent heavy rainfall, and that takes us back to about the same time that Robert Bouval and Robert Schoch have calculated for the construction of the Orion Belt Pyramids. That's around 10,450 BC. That's about 12,500 years ago. I guess around the Younger Dryas area. And we see that the head of the Sphinx appears to be made from different material to the rest of the body and does not show the same level of erosion as the rest of the body. Now, the two Sphinxes. There have been sketches of Giza. The word Giza in ancient Egyptian means hewn stone, complex from as far back as 1665, and show two heads peering out of the sands, one usually having a female features. Now, it was an ancient Egyptian practice to inscribe two lions, which they called akeru, next to their doorways for heavenly protection, and that will lead us directly to a mound near the Sphinx, which Jerry has identified and measured. Could this mound contain the buried body of a second Sphinx? One would have thought that this mysterious large covered shape so close to the Sphinx would have been greeted with great enthusiasm by the Egyptian authorities, yet Zahi Hawass and Mark Lerner did not want to listen to this story, according to a reliable source. Jerry had contacted someone in the renowned institute in Cairo that had equipment that could detect objects under the sand. That person applied for a permit to then Supreme Council of Antiquities to investigate this mound, but they did not respond. Apparently no one else was granted a license to investigate the scientific area of the mound where we believe a second Sphinx could be unearthed. No doubt they had a reason for this. So why did they deny the examination of the mound? Why would those two Egyptologists be so alarmed by the suggestion that there was something that had been missing for centuries? Is it possible that they don't want to reveal something beneath that mound? It isn't reasonable that anyone should have so much objection to any kind of probe or even a simple aerial photograph being taken, which might lead to the discovery of yet another amazing wonder of the world, and a wonder that would draw many more thousands of tourists to Egypt. They wouldn't even admit to ever having examined the mystery mound themselves, and surely had this been done, they would be the first to say so. A few years ago, Zahi Hawass met the Foreign Press Association in Cairo to vent his frustration with a group of pseudoscientists whose personal attack through television and other media had escalated to the point where it had become threatening. And apparently he was worried that an NBC interview would support the publicize their ideas, which he suggested are purely for personal gain. He apparently said in that statement, quote, "I want to talk about things that do not make any sense," end quote. His gesture expressed his increased frustration with what he commonly classified as pyramid idiots, those who views greatly at variance with the established scientific community. He said, "They are saying secret excavations are going on around the Sphinx and are not being revealed. This is definitely not so," end quote. Zahi Hawass is not only a great showman and probably the most knowledgeable man in the world about ancient Egypt, he has also achieved a lot to promote tourism for his country. However, he appears to have an agenda, and that is to keep in place the conventional understanding of ancient Egyptian history, no matter how many new findings contradict what is currently believed to be true. This is by Malcolm Hutton and Jerry Cannon, co-authors forthcoming book, The Giza Plateau, Secrets and a Second Sphinx Revealed. And you can find more on his Jerry Ark Quest for the Ark of the Covenant as well, and the Second Sphinx. And this is on Collective Spark, and it's Creative Commons by Steve McCartney. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.